If that's you, how could you possibly be a high vibe? You can't. Which is why you're on Feel It Be, and I'm helping you make loads of amazing changes. But one thing I find is when I ask people, what are your values? This is what tonight is all about. So welcome grads, welcome Feel It Be. What are your values? And they go, oh, right. Integrity, love, honesty, hard work, bloody, and they come out with all these things. And most of it, if I could be really quite frank, most of it, actually, what people come out with is a nonsense. Because that's not what's shown up in their life. But yet when you ask them what their values are, they come out with all these things. And so there's a disconnect somewhere between what shows up in your life and what you think your values are. And see, until we can get to what your values actually are in terms of what's shown up in your life and get you on some sort of reality check, how could you possibly fix anything? I've lost count of the amount of people who their lives are in tatters, they're in a deep dark hole, and I say, what are your values? And they go, hard work and honesty and being financially stable, and they say all these blue sky thinking thoughts, but actually that's not their reality. So that's not what they're placing their value, their time, their effort and energy, their commitment, how they show up. That's not how they're spending their time, because that's not what's showing up. We'll call her Anne again, Anne Skint. But Anne says to me she values being financially stable. But that's not what Anne's reality is, so how can it be? It's not what she values, because it's not how she's spent her time. So this is going to rewire your brain and get you on a page where you can make some incredible changes. That is the purpose of this little exercise. When I say a little exercise, it's not so little, but it's an important one. And I've never actually went through everything with anybody, probably ever, to this extent on values. Because every Feel It Be and every month that goes by, I'm constantly learning as well, and I'm committed to that. So, most people are living out a set of values that have been kind of inflicted on them. Not in a bad way, but inflicted on them by peer groups like teachers, like leaders, like politicians, like parents. So when you burst into the world and your parents are baby-proofing the house, you're getting told, no, you can't. Yay, yes you can. Well done. Fantastic. No, you can't. And then you go to school and your teachers are doing the same conditioning. So you're getting somebody's set of values, or a mixture of values, peer values, that actually could be in conflict, direct conflict with what your personal values are. And they call it socialisation or conformity. That's fair enough to understand, isn't it? It's easy to understand. Most people, including a lot of you, won't even know what your values are. You will think there's something. You'll have a predisposed idea of what you think your values are, but actually that's not what's in your life. That's not what's showed up or showing up. So there's a massive disconnect. So getting to high vibe, that's going to be impossible, because how can you vibe high when you feel like these are your values, but that's not what's showing up? So you're being shortchanged. My life's crap. Is this it for me? Why is nothing changing? I look back 20 years and this isn't the life I thought I was going to have. You say things like this, don't you? I shouldn't be here. You look in the mirror and you want to cry because you don't even recognise yourself. That's not who you think you are. Or that's not who you think you were going to be. Start again. That's not who you thought you were going to be. The team very cleverly have tagged everybody into this live. So there should be lots of eyes on. See if you want to change your life and elevate your life in all the areas that you tell me you want to. See this stuff. These are lives that you can't miss. This is what you're paying for. There is nobody anywhere spending any amount of time, and I keep saying it, but I have to keep reminding you, there is nobody anywhere giving you all of this value. There is no danger. They're bothered about what you eat, what you think about, how you spend your... Nobody is. So please, get on these lives, get your eyes on them, and as my mum would say, pay attention. So, most people don't know what their own values are. So I'm going to ask you a series of value-based questions based on what your values actually are in life. Not what you think they are, not what you would like them to be, what's actually showing up in your life. Now, society tells us that there's a set of norms and a set of rules and conformity, and they call that socialisation. But society and what am I trying to say here? Yeah, society can't grow and develop and evolve, and we can't think about cleaning up the environment and making strides in, engineering if we all conform. We're all doing the same old. So 90%, 95% of people in the world conform, and then the other 5%, like Elon Musk and like Shelley Booth, that tells you there's no portion control. Don't count calories. Personal trainers are like that. Is she fucking for real? So you're allowed to eat what your bigger portion? Yeah. You go, yeah. Saturated fat. And they go, no calorie counting, no calorie deficits. Are you joking me? So I've put myself aligned with Elon Musk for the sake of this live. I hope that's okay with you. It's more than okay with me. So you do get, now and again, people that come off the well-trodden path and take their own path and use their creativity and the drive that they've got in them for change. They know they can make improvements. They know they can use the knowledge that they've got to tap into something completely new. And it changes the world. It changes society. It makes things better. You get some numpties that make things worse. Most of them are politicians, but that's a different story, and a story for another time. I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about politics. I definitely don't. My teacher, Mrs. Hodge, at Kellyfield Primary, says to me, or says to everybody in her class, I loved her, she was amazing, she was so strict. Grey bobbed hair with a wee black bit coming down here, and when she walked, her heels were like boom, boom, boom. You heard her coming up the corridor, you'd think, oh shit. But I was dead good, so I was never in bother. If somebody was in bother, she'd go, tutorial room, now. And you should have heard her screaming and bawling. And she was English, and her face was bright red, and she had big teeth, and she was scary as fuck. Anyway, what was I saying to you there? Mrs. Hodge. I can't even remember. Took myself off there. So, yeah, when you have new ideas like I do, you'll be sometimes ridiculed. Somebody will try and take the piss out of you. They'll try and tear you down. People don't like change, and they don't like evolution. They don't like to see things. Well, a lot of people just hate change. It's as simple as that. So if you're being ridiculed because you're on Feel Look Be, as Conor McGregor would say, Conor McGregor, the MMA fighter, he would say, what would he say? He had a one-liner and I've forgotten it. Doubt me now. That's what he would say. You had 2 belts, underdog from Ireland. Ireland don't produce mixed martial arts fighters. They did that time. Doubt me now. When you've lost all your weight and you've cleaned up your act and you've got a mindset that's bulletproof and you've elevated all of your life. Doubt me now. Come on. That's what I say. So when most people are conforming and developing or stopping their development of their own values, it's because of society a lot of the time. You need to know that you could change your reality at any point by allowing yourself to be authentic. Going back to what actually is it I want. 25 years ago, I had a dream and a goal and an ambition. I've forgotten that. Where has that even gone? Where have I gone? God help the day you look in the mirror and you go, I've lost myself. But it happens a lot to people. You feel like you've lost yourself in the cycle of being mum, being a wife, being a this, being a that, being a that. Maybe your job, your high-powered, high-profile job is taking you off, and that's what you valued. You put all your time and effort and energy into that. But in turn, you've lost yourself, whatever it is. So, I'm going to take you nicely into these questions, okay? Are you ready? I want you to write them down. And here's what I want you to do. Once you've written them down, I want you to think of 2 or 3 answers that are completely personal to you, but as answers based on what's shown up in your life. Not what you would like them to be, or, blue sky thinking, or, when you dream and hope and wish for things to be better. It's not what you wish for, it's what's showing up right now. Now be honest with yourself, okay? Are you ready? Let me get a drink. Try and do it properly this time. Listening? It's dead annoying, eh? Okay, so this is the first question, what do you fill your space with? Top 3 answers. What you fill your space with. And I'm going to give you examples sometimes of what I fill my space with. I fill my space with things that make me feel comfy, whether it's clothes, shoes, sofas, settees, everything is for comfort for me. The second thing I fill my space with is tech. I love tech. This house is full of top-notch tech. Half of it I don't know how to use, but I love it. I also fill my space with things that make me feel secure and things that make my family feel secure. So I value comfort, I value security, and I value, what was the first one? Oh, another thing was fitness stuff. You can see all around my house, there's supplements. I can see on that table there's collagen. There's a whole gym down there. I go into my room, there's an ab roller on the floor. I'm surrounded by fitness stuff all the time. So that's things that I value. So it's how you fill your space. That's the first question. I hope you're writing these down. This is really important. The second question is, what do you spend your time on? Top 3 answers. That's maybe work. For me, it's work, Leo, moving. I love to move. I move all the time. I work out, I train, I walk, I cycle, I do all Leo's stuff. That's important for me. But how do you spend your time? Predominantly. Sometimes you've got the balance completely wrong. This isn't a wrong or a right thing. There is no wrong and right here. But it's going to make you closer to what you actually do value, compared to what you say you value. Next one. What do you have the most amount of energy for, like physical energy? That might be your job. It might be working out. It might be cleaning. I've been cleaning, like my mum's a prolific cleaner. That's all she bloody well does. What do you have most energy for? You might be a cyclist, a swimmer, a runner. But top 3 answers. Maybe it's sitting on your computer. My mum's husband, Brian, absolutely loves sitting on the internet. Since I've known the man, he takes an addiction to a whole new level. I don't know what he reads. It might be reading for you. It might be learning. I don't know what it is for you. The next question is, where are you most organised? Is that your finances? How you look? Is it your work? Is it your social circle? So your social calendar is very well organised. It might be your holidays, it might be your outings. But where are you very well measured and organised? It might be your job. I'm hoping my new PA, that's on the top of her value list. I'm really hoping that. Next question. Where are you most reliable, disciplined and focused in your life? The most reliable, disciplined and focused. 3 different ones in there, but kind of make a generalisation. Top 3 answers. Things that you don't need to be reminded about to do. Oi, remember you've got to do that. These aren't things that you should be getting reminded about or externally motivated by. This is internal. So you getting prompted to go and pay your bills, you're not financially measured. You keep forgetting to pay the bills, you're definitely not financially measured or organised. But you might get reminded to do it, and you might do it because you're getting reminded it's not that. It's where you personally are most reliable, disciplined and focused. I'm telling you, this is going to change your life. I hope you're taking notes. Next one. Inwardly, what are your most dominant thoughts? This is a difficult one, actually. What do you think about most? Stuff that you don't speak, but what are your most dominant thoughts? Maybe that's your relationship. Maybe that's the relationship that you've not got, but you're obsessed about meeting somebody. Remember, it's top 3 answers, or top 2 if you can. Most dominant thoughts. Is it money? You're just like thinking, right, I need to get X, Y, and Z. Don't know what it is. Next question. What do you visualise the most? What do you visualise? What is it you want for yourself most? And you do that visualisation most. Remember, this isn't what you want. This is what you spend your time doing most of. Next question. What do you talk to yourself most about? Now, that's kind of similar to your dominant thoughts. So we'll scrub that one off, actually. Next question is, what do you talk to others about most? What do you talk to others about most? It might be your partner. It might be your kids. Now, if you're kid orientated, so say you've got, like I'm thinking about our client on here who's got 3 triplets. And I'm sure for yourself that you think your value is looking after your kids. That is predominantly one of your top 3 values, I would say. So everything you probably see is based around your kids. You go into a supermarket, you see kids' clothes, you see kids' toys, you see kids' food. You don't really go for the tech side of things or the businessy type stuff. You're very children orientated, and that's how your mind works, because that's what's on top of your value list. So you might talk to your pals all the time about your kids. And remember when Leo was wee, whenever I went out for a meal or something, like if my mum was looking after him, all I seemed to talk about was Leo, 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 Leo. That was just what happened. You may be the same. What inspires you most? Top 3 things. What inspires you most? And here's a tricky one. What are your most consistent goals? What keeps showing up? So see when you journal and you write goals and set objectives, what keeps showing up? And the last question is what you love to learn about. What you love to learn about. Okay, next bit. I want you to get 3 different colours, say red, blue and green, and I want you to score them. Red is most valuable, green is most valuable, and blue. So it's first, second and third basically. Red most, and say, I don't know, blue last. 1, 2, 3. I want you to go through these, and I want you to put a wee colour beside each of the questions where I want you to colour code each of your answers. And see at the end of that session, when you do it with yourself, you're going to see maybe a lot of reds, some blues, some greens. But predominantly it's going to hit you. And there's going to be themes that jump out at you. And a lot of them will be the same. A lot of your answers will be the same. So, and that's a good thing, because that is going to really jump out at you and you're going to think, right, okay, I never realised that I really do value that. But I thought it was X, Y, and Z. So that's a lot to digest. Please let's have a wee drink. and I'll come back to you in a minute. Here's one that I'm going to put to you. Are you this person? I'm really healthy. I go to the gym all the time. Yeah, I love my fitness. You've got all the gear. You've got the weights equipment. But you've been battling your weight for years. You've never been happy with your weight. You feel insecure. In social settings, you feel very self-conscious. You don't particularly have a good opinion of yourself or a high opinion of yourself physically. But yet, you told me that you love fitness. You're really healthy. You've got all this equipment. So it's not showing up in your life in terms of health because you're overweight and whatever that brings, but there's a mismatch there. So I could look at you and say, she really values health and fitness, but it's not showing up in her life. So there's an aspect missing there. And I'm going to suggest to you it's the understanding of the science and of the nutrition. Because people out there aren't educating you properly, which is why I need you on these lives. So that's the bit that's missing. You didn't know that before Feel Look Be though. So how are you actually supposed to get control of all this stuff when there's nobody sitting going through stuff like this with you? It's going to be really difficult, isn't it? And it's one of those cycles. You get pissed off and you get miserable and then you start comfort eating because nothing seems to be working for you, regardless of going to the gym, going to the classes, you've got all the gear, you've got gear lying about. You're doing all this stuff, but there's a big piece missing. But what if that's congruent to loads of other areas of your life? So what I would suggest to you is learning and research and reading. Reading is like a superpower, isn't it? When you read, your knowledge base is phenomenal. You can have in-depth conversations about things. You'll advance your situation and your position in terms of your career and your role, and you'll because you're like a sponge, you'll start changing things for yourself. You have to learn and you have to read daily. Growth and learning and development, you have to do your own research and reading. I give you loads of stuff. I don't know how much, though, that you, one, retain, or two, even care about. I know you do, because I see loads of transformations happening. But how much of the background reading do you do? So I can see that that's maybe strikes a chord with you a lot. Before Feel Look Be, that was the same as me. Had all the gear and the idea. Dead common, really common. My brain doesn't work fast enough for this. I don't know who said that. But if you were taking notes, it doesn't need, you don't need to answer all this tonight. Look, here's my notes. All you need to do is get the questions down and answer them over the next week. This is an exercise that takes time. We can't do it all in one night. Okay, let's have a wee breather. I'm going to encourage every single one of you to use and harness your greatness, your authenticity, who you were supposed to be. A lot of the time is not the person you are today. And it's not the person you are today because you've been conditioned. My mum, I could talk freely because obviously my mum can't hear me for a start, but she knows I would be talking to you for the greater good of helping you and helping you think about things. But my mum was absolutely conditioned by her marriage. 1,000,000%. She was living her life for her marriage, which isn't a bad thing, you would think, on the surface. But when you look underneath that, and you're married to somebody that's a heavy drinker, not particularly a family-orientated person, everything that comes with drinking alcohol, the whole thing, with it going into too much, the lifestyle that it brings, the stress levels, the cortisol levels that she had to try and manage, they're just living on your nerves. Everything that comes with that marriage, my mum was conditioned by. She didn't have her own life, didn't do her own thing, didn't have her friendship groups that she socialised with, and had this great life. My mum didn't have that. But that might be you in your job, it might be in your relationship, I don't know, it might be you with a situation that's maybe historical, it's maybe a family thing, I don't know. So you deserve to live out your own authentic self, tapping into everything that makes you great, that makes you unique, that makes you amazing, because you are. Every single one of you are amazing. And you can all vibrate on a level that's up here. But if you've got all that stuff dragging you back, you have to remember that every single thing is a choice. And I know it's hard sometimes. It's hard to change. It's hard to do things differently because, like I said before, you'd be ridiculed and it might upset the apple cart. And I get all of it. But this stuff will start to slowly change your thinking, and in time, you might want to make a change. You might not. But at least you know you've got options. At least you know what your actual values are, so no wonder it's not showing up in your life. No wonder you're not a size 10. No wonder you've not got financial freedom. No wonder you don't like your job. No wonder you're in a relationship that just bogs you down and tires you out and leaves you depleted. Because your values don't stack up to what you actually put your time and effort and energy into. You're putting your time and effort and energy into being overweight, being depressed, being flat, being burnt out. That's what you're doing. You're bringing your own stress to your own life. So, of course, there's going to be a disconnect. I think this is really valuable stuff. And even as I'm talking about it, pennies drop for me all over the place. And it helps me advance my life as well, not just yours. So I hope you're getting this. Are you getting it? Please tell me.